Hi, everyone. I'm Jim Hounshell, and welcome back to the Old Radio Revival. Before we dive into today's restoration, I want to talk about the ultimate goal for every radio that comes through my shop. Some people restore radios just for display, beautiful shelf pieces to be admired, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what really brings me joy is when these radios actually work, when they pull in a clear signal and fill the room with music. That's when a collector's item truly becomes alive and fulfills its original purpose. In a profound way, God doesn't want us to just look religious. He wants us to live redeemed. He's not seeking beautiful outward appearances that mask inner brokenness. He's not looking for people who simply display their faith on a shelf, going through the motions for others. Just as a radio is meant to play, a Christian is meant to live the transformation that has occurred within them. Obeying the gospel isn't about appearances, it's about genuine transformation. When we repent of our sins and put our faith in Jesus, it's not just a declaration we make, it's an internal revolution that changes who we are from the inside out. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone, the new is here." This is a complete overhaul, not just a cosmetic upgrade. The result? We become a working witness. Our lives, powered by the Spirit of God, begin to broadcast His love, His truth, and His light to the world around us. We don't just look like Christians, we live like ones, demonstrating the power of the gospel through our actions, our words, and our character. So as we take a beautiful antique radio from a silent shelf piece to a working witness of its own era, consider your own walk with God. Are you merely a collector's item, or are you a living, working witness to the transforming power of Jesus Christ? Now let's head over to the workbench. I'm going to put some new grill cloth on this. So if you remember, this is the plate. It's wooden. That's got this grill cloth lightly glued to it. So we're going to put some new cloth on there. And the first thing we need to do is take this off, this old cloth. There we go. I think I'll hit this with a little bit of sandpaper to smooth that glue off of there a little bit. And then we'll go on from there. I used 100 grit sandpaper to get some of that rough old glue off of there. I didn't want to get it too smooth because I do want the new glue that I put on there to penetrate and hold that new cloth on there as well as it can. So let me show you the new cloth that I am intending on putting on. This is what I hope to use. This is from a previous project, but I like this color. It's pretty close, I think, to the original color, but it may be a little too small to fit on this area. So what I'm going to do to figure that out is I'm going to put this back in the radio. We'll get those screws back through the front of the radio so that this sits exactly where it's supposed to. And then I'm going to take a pencil, and from the other side, I'm going to draw around here and transfer that then onto this plate. From there, then I will know, I can put my cloth on there and see, is it going to cover that area or not? I've got that marked, and the bottom part is, the bottom line is just right here and here. And the top line is just above the circle here, just above it. So now let's take our cloth and see if we can cover that area. So if I put my cloth right at the bottom of that line, the bottom of that line, and look up here, it does cover it. We're talking, it's barely going to cover. So we're gonna try it, see if we can get away with it. It's not very stretchy material, so I don't have much to play with. But I think we can make it fit. At least we're going to try. Now we're ready to put some glue on this, but you want to make sure that you get it on the correct side. If that means whenever this is still in the radio, you need to mark it as to inside of radio, front, however you want to do it. Make sure you are putting your cloth back on the same side that you took it off of. So that'll be this side for us. And what I'm going to use is this 3M Super 77. It has always worked for me. So that's what I'll be using. And I'll just be putting a coat of this all over this surface. And then we let it dry, get tacky before we put our cloth on it. But I'm going to go off camera to put this on. You'll want to make sure that you put, I use newspaper, something I can just throw away under it, because this is unforgiving. It really gets sticky on everything. So that's why I want to do it off camera. I'm going to take it over here away from the camera, put it on, and then we'll come back. So I got a nice even coat on this, and it's been setting for a few seconds, maybe 60 seconds or so. And when I touch it, here's where I touched it the first time. You see the glue came off on my finger. It wasn't ready. But this time I touch it, it sticks to me. So it's ready for the cloth now. All right, so we take our cloth. Make sure you get the correct side of the cloth out. We know this is the part that's going to show outside the radio. And if you remember, we had, I almost forgot, 2 screws in here underneath the cloth. We want to make sure we get those back in there. So now I'm going to need to prop this up on something. Let me do that and then I'll come back. Okay, got a couple of 2x4s. As I was saying, there's a front and a back usually to the cloth. Make sure you're putting the back against the glue and not the nice looking part. So let's see if I can get this on there. Okay. It's on there. stretched tight. You don't want it to be wavy and saggy. Just make sure you get it stretched tight. That glue will really stick, so try to get it tight before you get it down onto the glue. I think we're going to be in good shape. I'm going to let this dry a little more so that it's not so sticky, and then we'll take a look and make sure it looks right. And there it is. I'm not ready to put it on for the final time. I still need to trim it up, and at this point in the videoing, I'm not completely done with the cabinet itself, but I did want to show you that it fit in there and that I think it's going to work just fine. It's time for us to replace these wires that go to the speaker. You remember we had them numbered 1, 2, and 3. 1 is the green and white. Sometimes these will be so faded out, it's really hard to tell. It's a little easier sometimes when you come under the chassis where they haven't been exposed to the light. But even then, these are dirty and it can be difficult to tell. But our number 1 was green and white. The number 2 is a green wire. And then our number 3 wire is the white wire. So make note of where you detach these from. The green and white is over here on the positive side of the 8 microfarad capacitor, electrolytic capacitor. Make sure you get it back to the correct electrolytic capacitor. The green, if you follow it on over, it is connected to the plate of the 42 tube. And then the white, if you follow it on down, you have to follow it because suddenly it's not white anymore. When it gets over here, it's really dirty. But if you follow it on around, you find that it's connected to the screen grid of the 42. So what I'm going to do now is just detach all of those so that we can find out how much length of new wire we need. And so that's what we'll do next. I have desoldered these wires, the 3 that we were talking about, and getting ready to pull this out. But I've literally made note of how these wires are laid in here. That can be important sometimes. For example, this green and white wire is laying on top of these wires that go down to the transformer, the power transformer. It's not under them. It's on top of them. These 2 wires over here, the other 2 wires, they're down next to the chassis, all the way over. This hole here is where these wires will feed up through. This knot, in fact, is to prevent everything from being pulled up through that hole. So anyway, we're ready to take it out now that we've made note of where these wires lay and take a look at it. I put this white cloth on here just so you can see the wire a little better. Next thing I want to do is measure it to see how much new length I'm going to need. take this knot out, get this straightened out as much as I can. It's brittle. This wire is, 90-some years old. It's pretty brittle. All right, so we've got it stretched out here. And it's about, let's say, 22 inches. So I'm going to make it 24 inches just because it wouldn't hurt it to be a little longer when you pull that chassis out of the back to have a little extra room. So we'll go with 24 inches of the new wire. This is the new wire we'll be using. I got it from Tube Depot. This is as close to the size as I could actually get without going too small. It's an 18 gauge, and it's just a little bit bigger than what I probably need, but didn't have a whole lot of choice. So I've got green and white, but no green and white. So I'm going to go ahead and try to make green and white, and we'll give that a shot, see if that'll work or not. But right now, I just need about 24 inches of this. So I need 2 of them, 2 whites. And then 1 green. Okay. Not sure how well you can see it, but there's that green within this white cloth. It just kind of spirals around all the way up. I am not going to be able to replicate that exactly, but I'm going to try to take a marker. We'll see what it looks like and just work my way up, all the way around on one of these white wires that we're going to put on and see how that looks. It may not look good at all. I don't know, but I'm going to try that and see, just so that we have a green and white wire. Here's what I ended up with. This is a single line down through there, swirled around it. I could have put another one so that each space would have another line through it, make them a little closer together, but I didn't want to push my luck. I think this looks all right. I mean, it's not going to look like the original, but you can tell that's green and white, right? So I've got green and white, white and green. That's what we're going to go with. I've got the wires ready. They're cut to length. Now all I need to do is just bind them together to make a cable out of them. This one was twisted together, but it also has what's called cable lacing down through here. And it looks like it's just a string that has been wrapped around these wires to hold them together, but it's a little more than that. If you look here closely, you'll see that they're laced together. They're not just wound around the string here, or around the wires. Now, I could very easily just take a zip tie, put it around there, snug it up tight, call it a day. That would work just as well. I could even use a white one or a clear one to make it look a little better. But I don't want to do that. I want to make it just like this. I want to get this lacing on here just like they have. And it's not only on that end, but it's also on the other end. Then they've twisted all the wires together. So that's where I'm heading. So the first thing I want to do is figure out how far down this is. And so I'm putting my newly cut wires up here. And coming down. So these will be right around this area here, where my thumb is. That's where we're going to start our lacing. But I am going to use zip ties to hold this together for me while I lace it. So I'm going to bring a zip tie up here. Get it nice and snug. And I'll snip those off when we're done. I should have brought that one on down, so I'll put this one on the other end. Bring it down here. Okay. So now I'm going to put my lacing in here. And that's where we'll go next. I switched out the background to a darker towel so that maybe you'll be able to see what I'm doing a little easier, because the thread that I'm going to be using is white, almost light colored. And I'm going to be working with this on the spool. I'm just going to leave it on the spool because I don't know how much thread I'm going to need. But it just also, it seems a little easier for me to use it on the spool itself. So the first thing that I want to do is to secure the thread on this end. And it's to be secured with what's called a clove hitch. Now, I'm not expert. I was not a Boy Scout or anything. So I'm not an expert at this. I'm going to attempt a clove hitch. Now, what I think you do is, first of all, you take it around your wires the first time. Pull me some length out here. And then cross it over like that. So you'll cross it over. And when I do that, I'm going to leave a bit of a loop up here at the top so that I can bring my string back around underneath. Back around underneath and back through that loop. And now I should have what looks like a figure 8. So then if you pull that up tight, it secures it in place. Then you can make sure it's certainly secured by going ahead and putting another knot in this. I'm just going to put one more. Now, that's going to stay in place. I'm going to cut that off so it stays out of my way. Now they're just simple little half knots. Again, I don't know if that's the real name or not, but that's what I'm going to call it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start on one side. I'm going to bring this under. Bring it back over and under that loop and out. And you see what it's done. It's just tied a half knot. So bring that down. And you saw how they were laying them just one right next to the other. That's what we're going to attempt to do here. So when you bring that up tight, you see I'm pulling it this way. It's not really tightening so well, but if I pull it the other way, it cinches it up. So now I want to start on that side. I'm going to go under, back over, back under that loop, pull it out from under the loop for my next one. Again, just put it right next to the other one. You see it's not tightening up when I pull it this way this time. It's tightening up when I pull it this way. So I get all those little, I call them cinches, cinching it up, laces. I'm going to line them all up in the same place here. Okay, so then I go under this. Here's my loop. Bring it over. Put my loop over it. Pull it out. Here comes my next one. See how I was pulling it this way before. Now I'm going the opposite direction because that's the way it'll tighten it up this time. So you just kind of go back and forth as you're tightening it up, as you're working your way up the wires here. I'll do one more and then I'll finish the rest of it off of camera. Come over. Bring my spool over, put my loop over my spool, pull my spool out. Then here it comes. Just back and forth like that. right, so that I think is enough. Looks pretty good there. Here's where all my lacing is. All right, so now how to tie this off so that it doesn't unravel or come undone. I don't have a good answer for that. But here's what I think I'll do. I'm going to make that half knot again, just like I've been doing all along. Come up under, through here. Okay, so I've got my half knot started. So I'm going to come, get it down a little bit. And then I'm going to take this, come back up through. See, I'm on top of that string right now. I'm going to come back up under it. And through this loop. So now I'm starting another half knot. But before I pull this one tight, I want to pull this other one tight. Get it tight against here first. Actually, pulling them tight together. Is that going to work? So I believe I've got a knot there. All right, I think that's got a knot there. So now that's going to hold it for me. I can snip that off. And we got that end tied up. There we go. Now we'll go down here and do the other end just like that. And we'll come back then. Got both ends tied up. Look pretty good. Now I'm going to remove some of this insulation from the ends. And put a little flux on it. I'm just going to put a little bit of solder on the tip of it so it doesn't fray on me. Start fraying. I'm going to do that to each one of them on both ends. Having done that, I'm going to now feed these wires back up through this hole where they came from. And this one went over here. These two went over there. So it looks like the knot needs to be right under where we laced, right there. That'll make these a little longer than they need to be, but that's That's what we're going to do. So we'll put our knot in here. About like that. Now we're ready to solder these wires back where they go. So we've got the new grill cloth installed and the speaker wiring harness finished up. Join me next time as we figure out how to safely run this radio on today's 123 volt household current, even though it was designed for 115 volts. We'll also figure out the correct fuse to install so that the set is protected if a short or a component failure causes it to draw too much current. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.